Hi, my name is Neff, and I help vacation rental owners get more direct bookings on their website. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a webhook with an Encharge that triggers on guest checkout. Let's have a quick look at this guest feedback journey map. Ideally, when your guest checks out, you want to trigger some sort of action from your guest management system or CRM. That way, your guest feedback process begins to flow. A quick note here. There are many ways to trigger guest checkout actions. It largely depends on the kind of software you're using to manage your guests, and also what kind of marketing automation software you're using. For this example, I'm going to trigger a webhook manually. But first, let's head over to Encharge and create our automation. Here we are in Encharge. Head over to Flows, and then down here, click on Add Flow. I already got started, so I'm going to click in here. And now you'll want to add a trigger of Receive Webhook. From here, you'll be given a webhook URL, which looks like this. A quick explanation on how webhooks work. You can think of webhooks as one-way channels to send information from one system to another. And the way that it does that is by appending URL parameters to a link. In our case, here's our webhook URL link. And what we want to do is pass all the relevant guest information that we want to pass into our automation. To keep this example brief, I'm just going to pass in email, first name, and cabin name into the webhook URL. So this is how you'll create your webhook URL. First, take your webhook URL, like you see up here, and then to start passing URL parameters or your guest information, you need to pass in a question mark. Once you do that, you pass in your key value pairs. For example, if you want to pass in your guest email, you would do something like this. Create a key called email, and then set it equal to the actual guest email. And then to append another URL parameter, you add an ampersand, and then you enter your key value pair once again. In this example, I'm going to pass in a first name. So I'm going to name my key first_name, and then set it equal to Neffer. Keep in mind, you can name your keys whatever you want. I suggest making them descriptive and easy to read. And then finally, we're going to add the last key value pair, which is the name of the cabin. So we'll enter an ampersand, enter cabin_name as a key, and then set it equal to King's Cabin. One other thing to note here, you can't technically enter spaces, commas, apostrophes, and similar special characters like that into a URL. But in most cases, a browser is smart enough to convert those special characters into readable characters. For example here, this %sign and 27 is the code to convert an apostrophe character into a format that's readable by your browser. And here, this %20 is the readable characters to convert a blank space into a format the browser can understand too. The good news is that most of the time when you go into your browser and enter special characters inside of the URL, it automatically converts those special characters into readable formats like this. To reduce any chances for error, I recommend transforming those special characters into readable formats. Okay. Now that we've assembled our webhook URL and appended our URL parameters based on the guest data that we want to pass in from your CRM or your guest management system over to Encharge, we're going to manually trigger this webhook URL by copying and pasting this. Open up a new tab, paste in your webhook URL with URL parameters, and you should see a tiny little OK up here in the upper left-hand corner of your screen. That means that your webhook got fired successfully. Now let's head back to Encharge. Let's click on Save here. And now you can see those URL parameters got successfully sent over to Encharge. Let's click Continue. And now we're going to map those key value pairs over to Encharge. One thing to note here is that you'll likely have to create custom fields to receive special data from your guests, like travel dates, number of guests in their party, and other information like that Encharge doesn't have by default. For example, cabin name is a custom field that I had to create in Encharge. but email and first name are standard fields in Encharge. All right, so now let's map these fields to Encharge. And once you do that, click on Save. Now the next thing that we'll do is add a delay action before we send out a personalized email requesting for guest feedback. See you in the next video.